cost was 764,973,877.35. But now I can see, based on the earlier proposed completion date of 31st October 2024, the project final account for builder's work is Kenyan shillings, owes Kenyan shillings, 1,199,421,648.81. So how do you get about this cost, about variations?
Kito, I think you can elaborate on that one.
Telling us what is the permissible variation? Permissible variation.
I think in this case, project. But if you read on page 4, it gives us actually the breakdown, whereby the total amount for the contract was 695 million,
Right.
864,432. And
Chair, let him repeat, please.
Okay, come back again.
Let him go slowly.
okay, 95 million, 864,432. That's actually the amount which was in the contract. And in this amount, we had preliminaries totaling to 45,346,000. For the main block.
Excuse me, Chair. Preliminaries is, you see, there are some of us who've never gone to school, but we look and listen to what you say. Simplify it for me.
We went to
I think if behind it we have a BQ, if you can check on the annex. We have the annex here explaining to us exactly what was quoted in the preliminaries. Let me just get the annex. Yes, Annex 2. If you go to Annex, okay. We have the preliminaries are plant, tools, and vehicles, transport, storage, access to site and temporary roads, office of the project manager, water and electricity for the works, insurance, training levy, holding contractors, superintendents, signboard, security, performance bond, project managers, expenses, project vehicle. So this is exactly what we refer as the preliminaries in the BQ. So that one is totaling to 45,346,000. If you check on page 153 of this white response document. Now, we go to the office block. Office block amount was 246,878,243. Then you get the civil works. For the civil works, we have 134,982,750. And then prime cost sums. Now, this 695 million, the total contract, the ones which were contracted by the main contractor and contracted by the client. So in this, for the ones which were contracted by the 333,330, these are the now, Then we have the amount now due to Landmark was 6,979,101.88. If you subtract the main by the client, this was so okay for the 6 subcontractors, the value which was 45 million, which is now missing. Okay. Yes, I think 156. Okay, the total amount was 45,552,000 for the subcontractors who are supposed to, but some information which we really have to know that this amount was later re-advertised after the assessment of the actual values, because what was required was above 25% of what was factored in the initial BQ. So the 6 subcontractors were retendered separately. Therefore, the amount which was in the main contract was not supposed to be used by the subcontractor, because now the services were subcontracted. And these were audiovisual installations. These were 3 million. And then we have the access control system. We have the standby generator. We have the air conditioning. We have the lifts and stabilizers. We have the solar installation systems. If you see, these are really in the original BQ, but were not done by the main contractor. Because of the values, they changed. So if we go back, I think, to the...
Chair, I am completely lost. I think you need to explain to me in very simple language. You understand what I'm saying?
Can I try?
Please try.
He is saying that the 45 million of amounts intended to go to subcontractors in the bigger picture, total sum, was not paid to those subcontractors. Instead, their works were separately tendered for, which means the 45 million was retained, even though it had been factored for those works. Is that what did I get you correct?
Yes.
Hey, no, that's even worse.
Now, I think,
Let me ask you so that I can understand. There was work where BQs had been done, and this work is about 45 million. This work was supposed to have been subtendered to other individuals and not the main contractor.
yes.
What I want to understand is that, is this 45 million part of the 600 and something million which was part of the contractor, or was it a separate amount which had been budgeted for?
Yes, so your honorable member, the honorable member, that's exactly what we did. It's in the in the original contract.
It's in the original contract. So you took that aside and then subtendered to, huh? You didn't take it aside. You also subtendered within the main contract.
Yes.
Okay, now I'm getting it. Hey, your English is strong, man.
Sorry, through the chair, if you check on page 6, through the chair, if you check on the page 6, yes, you see the actual amount which was required for the subcontractors. Initially, in the contract is 45 million, but the actual came up to 183 million for the subcontractors. But what was factored was 45 million.
You chair, which then means if that goes to 100 million, it then changes the initial contract sum. It changes the initial contract sum from the 600 and something million. Now it becomes 700 and something.
Yes, if you could have just given back to them, but now it was beyond 25%. So these works are supposed to be returned separately.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Okay.
Were these works factored in the sum total by the contractor? Their responsibility was only to give them to subcontractors.
Yes. This amount on that, but...
And the contractor's bid factored that way.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes.
So the contractors were aware that of this total amount will be paid to subcontractors.
No, this was not separate. The only amount which the contractor was 685 million, with only 45 million of the subcontractors in it. But the 183 million were returned
within the original bids, and they were removed. Were they not part of what the contractors had factored in that amount?
They were part of that. They were part of that.
Honorable Chair. Yes, we wanted to explain this narrative so that we move on. So we all agree that the contract sum was 695 million. That was the contract sum, the original contract sum that was signed. Now, part of the 695 million, there were money that was meant for the subcontractors. So there are two subcontractors who are very clear: contractor on plumbing works and contractor on electrical works. That is worth 38 million. It's part of the 695 million. There is this 45 million that was supposed to do other subcontracted works. But upon assessment of those works, we realized that that money could not finish those works. So we had to look for other resources elsewhere.
Before you realized,
yes,
was the 45 part of
it's
the
part
695?
of the 695, yes.
Yeah.
It is part of it.
To the project final account, builder's work, there's a variation of a difference of 474,447,806.83. So was that money paid or is not paid? If you go to table 1, the status of implementation of project, there's something called total cost, the legal permissible total cost, 764,973,877.35. And then Landmark Holdings Limited, 2014 report, based on the earlier proposed completion date of 31st October 2024, the projected final account for builders' work was 1,195,421,684. So there's a difference of 434,444,684. 806.83. Was that my paid? Governor? Or we ask the...
That was not paid. The engineers and the procurement.
Okay. Maybe you'll tell us what is your issues and what is the challenges, all this delay. Maybe brief the committee on.
Thank you very much, Chair. And the engineer has explained very well. And we actually worked on the site for about 3 years and completed our works. But like the engineer has explained, starting from 2015 actually, we actually completed the structure by 2019. All the structure works were completed. But now, like the engineer has explained, there were works related to subcontractors like the lifts and all that, where the subcontractors were not appointed for 5 to 6 years. And another subcontractor also did it, and he was replaced. The electrical subcontractor, I think. The job, so that we could finish all the tiling works, all the balustrades, glazing, aluminium inside after the structure was done. So the works were done, and by 2022, we were more or less practically complete on the builder's work. Then the boundary wall was done, the civil works were done, the road, the concrete road and all the diffuse. Our report carries some photographs at the end. You can have a look at that. And we have tried to hand over the project from 2022, 23, 24 till today. And we have not been able to hand over. Now we only take care of the senators are visiting.
Why do you don't have a handover? What was the reason?
Not completed their works. Then the electrical connections like the engineer is not yet done, the main power connection. So to get the occupation certificate, we need all these services to be provided. For the carpet, we have the carpet. Whenever the governor problem in completing the few minor things. And as for the aluminium partitions, some of the partitions were changed into masonry walls. On our part, we have completed the builder's work and associated works building even tomorrow morning.
Chair, could I come in? Or Vice Chair? Thank you. Excuse me, Chair. I would like to say that I was very fortunate to come pronouncing myself as to whether the report that has been given is good or bad. I wanted to say that the building is well done, exceptionally well done. I was actually very surprised. Chair, the issue I think the gentleman is not talking about, because when we were there, we never met him, is that when you get into that building, the way I say this purely on face value, is that the building is now being internally. Yes, it's now the paint is beginning to come down, some of the tiles are breaking down. We went up to the top, the air conditioning system has been there. Conditioning systems which have been positioned on top of the roof and they don't work. The lifts are there, so I really want to say that yes, your workmanship was very good. Our purpose here is to find out why it has taken you 11 years to get out of sight where you were doing the construction of the project. Number two, the second issue I wanted to ask you was, I want you to explain why are you not, you've explained why the subcontractors have not finished their part, so you can't hand over the building. Can you give us of your financials? Is there any claim you're making to the county government of Turkana, whether there's any money you would want to be paid? From the report, you've contract to that. Can you explain that and explain to this committee what you would want done? Thank you.
On our part, it did not take us 11 years, to be honest. We were ready to hand over the building. We really need a client's representative to take over the building. We need the consultants to come and take over the building. We have the air conditioning, the lifts, and all those items are directly procured by the client from the subcontractors, as the engineer mentioned. So on our part, we only need someone to come and tell us, okay, this is the team which will take over the building. These are the consultants who will take over the building. On our financial side, we definitely have to prepare a final account with the client and the consultants. There are some fluctuations, there are some change of materials, there are some, like you see from the perimeter wall, from chain link to boundary wall, maybe the concrete road, maybe the drainage system, which are provisional items subject to measurement on the final completion. Maybe we had a rock excavation, maybe some of the fluctuations of the steel or something went up during COVID or later. So those items are to be finalized and closed. The final measurements and the final account has to be prepared, which is not yet done. It could have been estimated, but we have contractually not received the final account yet. The other thing is...
Just hold on. Through you, Chair. It means as we sit here, you don't know how much money you should be paid to leave. You understand where I'm coming from? Because we've come to this committee because we are trying to resolve a matter that has been running for the last 10 years. The point I'm making is, as we speak, you are the contractor, you have the consultant, you have got everybody who's on this project, and everybody is saying the project is actually finished. I have seen it myself, that the project is finished, there's no electricity, there's no running water, which are things you can do, and you are telling me you have no estimate and you don't know how much money the county government owes you right now. How much are you owed by Turkana County as we speak? If you are not owed anything, please hand over. The governor is here. You can tell him tomorrow, can I come and hand it over to you? You understand where I'm coming from? And I can see you are struggling with it. You don't want to pronounce yourself. Please do, because I know you know the figures.
Chairman, we have our claims for idle equipment when we were waiting for the instructions and other items. These claims have been submitted, but it's the consultant to evaluate these claims and come up with a figure. It's not, we will always submit our claims according to our estimation, but it is upon the evaluating committee or the consultants now to say that so much is recommended by them, which is a contractual procedure. By the contract we have signed, it's a fluctuating contract, it has the provisions for this, and we have submitted our claims various claims for which even the figures we have sent in our submissions. These are figures which are submitted subject to evaluation by the subcommittee or by the consultants.
Is he here or is she here? Consultants here? Engineer? Where is the consultant?
As we speak, we don't have consultants.
So this is a part of the delay now that we can say that the consultant is not cooperating with the contractor.
We don't have any contract with any contractor or any TOR with any contract with any consultant. Sorry.
Yeah. It's not there.
It's not there.
So that means it's the one causing now the due delays, unnecessary delay. Can you say that?
It's no consultant, definitely.
Okay.
Chair, this meeting was supposed to conclude, and we were hoping that the last thing the governor will be telling us is when he's moving to this building, because they cannot come to Senate twice. We would have to divert this to another level for discussion, and I think it is better that it be clear to the contractor and to the governor that if we don't resolve, then we will also escalate what we are going to do. So we cannot be here without figures. The minute you are invited to Senate, the engineers should be giving us a way forward so that we are able to agree or disagree and agree on our own what we would like to recommend. So I'm not very comfortable that we are saying we need somebody, a third person, somebody who is not in this room, to give us figures. Neither do I buy the fact that the contractor is not able to give us an estimate of what he claims. He had said a very nice statement earlier, Mr. Chairman. He said he's ready to hand over tomorrow. So my question then was, what is stopping you from receiving the building? So that we zero in on what is really blocking, because a beautiful building like this cannot sit there for that long. The beautiful, according to the team that represented us in Turkana, we cannot continue like this. So can we hear from the governor himself what is stopping him? Then go back, because if there is no figure, you can say, I've never received a claim, and I'm ready to take over tomorrow, according to what the contractor is saying. But we cannot, we cannot go without figures. Contractors should know this is our final sitting with you. And if we don't resolve anything today, we will have to decide as a Senate where to take these two. So I think it better be very clear, Chair, that your word is going to be final today. Thank you.
Chair, allow me to also ask some questions to the contractor. I don't know whether it's the contractor or the governor. A building is as good as its plumbing. So if the plumbing works have not been tested, I'm wondering why is there no borehole on the site? I'm told there's no water. How come the plumbing works are not able to be tested, unless I got something wrong somewhere? Secondly, as contractor, you are aware that variation cannot go beyond 25%. So the reason we need to understand what the contract amount is, after all that conversation of subcontractors and amounts being tendered separately, both teams need to tell us what are we settling on in terms of what the contract amount is, in order for us to be able to calculate the 25% beyond which is not permissible. And then for the contractor, were you in charge of the subcontractors, or were you not in charge of because there is somewhere where it says there was a disagreement between subcontractors and the main contractor. We would want to understand what this is all about. And then a very important one, to the contractor, did you sign the contract without going to site? I find it curious, almost mischievous, that you sign a contract and then you discuss topography for purposes of varying that amount. I find that extremely unprofessional, both for, at least the county has explained it was the Ministry of Works, national government that was dealing with this, but I find it extremely curious that you as a contractor would have gone to find out what you're supposed to do, sign a contract, and then all of a sudden the topography is not good.
Yes, Chair, I think, okay, Chair, I think in order also to, maybe
Point
this
of order,
will...
Chair. You should have allowed us to finish and then you can answer. Kindly note it down. Chair, when we were in Turkana, we looked at the building, the main building. It was nicely done. But the issue, the reason why we are here today is the issue of handing over that particular building. And number one, what I wanted to know is, can we hand over that building like the contractor is saying even tomorrow? Number one. Number two, we've asked the contractor how much is he supposed to be paid, the contractor is supposed to be paid. Similarly, I would want to ask the governor how much is due for the contractor. Number three, is the contractor asking for payment beyond the contract sum plus 25% variation? If he's going to ask for anything above 25% variation, then there is no legitimacy to pay that amount. So is the contractor ready to hand over? Is the contractor and the county government ready to finalize their final account? Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Chair and honorable members. I think, Honorable Chair, page 8 of the white document really gives our position as the county government of Turkana, where we've given a conclusion and our position about what we've paid, and also indicating that that could be the balance. I think we've written there, from the foregoing analysis, the county government has made total payment of Kenya shillings 740 million, 724, 013.73 to the main contractor, while the legally permissible total cost is Kenya shilling 764 million 973 877.35. 611 million 979,101.88 being amount due to the main contractor attributable to the BQ sums, and Kenya shillings 152 million 994,775.47 legally allowable variation as per the PPDA Act 2015. And therefore, the only amount still, according to Turkana County government, still available for pending works is Kenya shillings 24,249,863. If you can look, refer to table 3, the table below there, you can see the amount due to landmark is 611 million, as I mentioned there. 25% maximum allowable variation as per the PPDA 2015 is 152 million I've mentioned. And legally allowable total, according to this table, is 764,973,877.35, less amount paid, 740,724,013. Maximum amount that may be paid to MC if necessary is 24,249,863. And we've written a way forward here that the only bit that's really that we are looking for is the handover of the project because there were issues rising from penalties, which we are totally unable to derive from any law. So we feel those are necessary delays. This Senate should really guide us and direct us properly, and even the position of the handing over.
Chair, could I? Thank you, Governor. You really made my life very easy today. The only amount of money you feel the executive should pay the contractor is 24 million shillings, and they walk away. Are you comfortable with that?
But just to supplement on something.
Yes.
We mentioned about some incomplete works inside the BQ.
Yes. Hold on. I was coming there.
Yeah.
I was coming there. So once you've given him the 24 million, there are certain things he has not done, which you would want him to finish between now and maybe or the time you pay him, so you are done with him.
According to like 28 million.
Thank you. Landmark, are you agreeable with that position?
Chairman, I don't know, I don't have the details of these figures, all the details. We haven't received this copy of the document His Excellency the Governor is reading from. However, that could be the contracted figure, or according to the, but there are...
Excuse me, sir, through you, Chair, could I ask you a question, sir? Before you came here, what did you discuss with your team? What did you come to do here? You came today, what did you come to do? Because the governor is saying he owes you only 24 million, you are refusing, he doesn't owe you any money. According to me, the reason why we are meeting you here today is for you to tell us whether the county owes you money or it doesn't owe you money. And what the amount is.
Sure. You know, the question I asked the governor is how much is due for the contractor. So it's 24 million. We know the amount now. So
that is not even due. That is the allowable. So he's hoping that the contractor will take 10 and leave a balance, isn't it? Because what he's saying is the law can only allow him to release up to 24 million. So I think that is clarifying, if I found that. So what we are asking the
which is
let me ask one simple question. Mr. Contractor, who said the members who visited that building, the building looks beautiful from a photo here. Okay, well done. But I don't know the interior. The interior has at least some finished job. That the electrical work has not been done, water is not complete, and there are broken tiles and all these things. So, are you ready to finish that work as requested by the governor, so that you could take your money and these things ends shortest possible time? Because you're not telling us how much you owe this, you're owed. If you tell us that you owe this amount of money, but now we are not talking about your money.
Allow me to